Welcome to your reading, Aquarius. It is December 24th, so this is roughly for the week or for whenever you get it. So several different things happened all of a sudden. I definitely got a very clear image from Spirit. And I also got crows showing up. Not a murder of crows, but a bunch of crows. So first of all, I'm going to tell you what the image and what that means to me. I saw you sitting out on the water in a little boat, but not a boat that had a pointy prow, I think they call it. It was more of a rounded one that I've seen used in Asia, and I don't remember the name of it, but it's not really meant for great distance travel. It's more for moving things from one side of a river or from a boat to the river and back. And you're in there and you don't have anything to paddle with. You've got nothing. You're just kind of in there and you're looking down at the water and you're going, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. And just kind of merrily sitting there in the water, letting the current take you wherever it wants to go. Then the second thing that happened was I remembered a conversation I'd had with my sister. And it was her referring to this portion of water upon which we live as the lake. I said, Marilyn, it's the ocean. We live on the Bay of Fundy. Yeah, but it's not really the ocean, it's the Bay of Fundy. I said, Marilyn, it's salty. It's the ocean. Yeah, I know, but it looks like a lake to me, so I'm going to call it a lake. Why? Well, just because if people visit us here, I don't want them to think that they're coming into this great big expanse of water. It's just this little... Okay, Marilyn, fine. But what really struck me in the context of that was the ability for Aquarians to call things what they want them to be, identify them as that when they're not. And that they would rather do that and actually kind of go along with the illusion of what it's not than acknowledge the reality of what it is and what that might mean in terms of disappointment for them or somebody else. And that really comes along with this reading as well. What I have often seen with Aquarians that I love dearly is that it's a very interesting sign for me because extremely intuitive, very, very, very much in connection with Spirit. And what I feel this is telling you is that a lot of that behavior of wanting to say things the way you want them to be rather than look at them the way they really are, a lot of that has been around issues of abandonment that you have perhaps experienced as a child, as a young person, as an adult. And I want to read you abandonment. I want to read you what the card says. Abandonment isn't just the experience of being left. It carries with it a much deeper sense of desertion, of being left vulnerable without the support or tools we need in order to survive, either emotionally or physically. Now, I believe there are many different ways to experience that. It can be somebody dying young. It can be another child coming into the family and suddenly feeling as though what's the matter with me and my chopped liver kind of a thing as a child, right? It can happen on so many different levels. But what I believe that often will create for us as people is a tendency to overgive, to not want to disappoint somebody else, not only because we don't want to be alone and we don't want to be abandoned by them, but because the pain of abandonment unresolved in ourselves is almost impossible to anticipate causing somebody else, because it's still so raw with us that it is almost criminal to think of imposing that on someone else. And what I have seen very often with that as a foundational energy, not exclusive to Aquarius, of course, but when it is in an Aquarian situation, what I have seen is the tendency to stay in situations far longer than is good out of a misdirected sense of loyalty, commitment, that kind of a thing, whether it's in work. I've seen it in work. I've seen it in relationship. I've seen it in religious context. There's just that sense of almost overly committed without being able to call it for what it is in order to allow yourself to leave, to extricate. Now, what I have to tell you about the crow. I've seen no crows today. I have windows all around. I live in a village. I've seen no birds today until I started preparing to do your reading, and all of a sudden, there's a crow at my window. And then he flies over there, and I get up and I look, and he's gone. I sit back down to do your reading again. He comes back. Okay. Third time, I go to the window, and I just watch, and I wait. And he comes, and he flies by, and then he flies into a tree, and 5 more crows fly out of that tree. And I went, whoa, thank you. This is for my Aquarians. Aquarians, Aquarius, you have got so much connection to spirit, like so much connection to spirit, to your intuition, towards your psychic faculties, that Spirit really wants to remind you, hey, we're here. You have got access to that energy. They really encourage you to stop apologizing for yourself. Stop apologizing for not believing in something you think you should still be believing in. Stop apologizing for mistakes, for not having done things better, for whatever you are sort of still beating yourself up for. You're fine. Whatever you lived, however you lived it, you needed to do it the way you did it. And now you can look back over this and you can use the presence of spirit to determine, where do you want your boat to go? What do you want it to be? Do you want to just be bobbing around on the water, or is the direction you'd like to take? And maybe there isn't a direction you'd like to take, but maybe you would just like to be more comfortable in the boat that is bobbing around on the ocean, and more confident in trusting that spirit is guiding where those currents are going and going to take you. My lovely Aquarians, you've been loyal sometimes to the point of self-harm. And you don't need to do that anymore. And I believe that there has been a process and a progress out of that. What I feel like now is, man, oh man, you've got spirit with you. And spirit is talking to you. And spirit is so happy to be able to now have a more direct connection to you in your life. And I feel a more co-creative aspect. There is a real encouragement to not fear the presence of spirit, to be prayerful, and to really allow yourself to be supportive of those habits that are going to allow you to stay in connection with high frequency, with spirits coming in love, with the gifts and the abilities that they have to offer you, because this could potentially transform your life in a huge way, as you wish it. And again, it doesn't have to be the boat changing. It doesn't have to be the boat going somewhere. It can be you staying in your boat, but staying in your boat with a level of comfort and confidence and self-appreciation and self-love and connection to the divine, in such a way so that you are just absolutely wonderful in the boat you're in. So my Aquarians, I leave you with that. You've got a lot going for you. So I just really want you to know that spirit is encouraging you to embrace that, and that I wish you a wonderful week, and be fierce. Be fierce for your own wellness. Be fierce for your own happiness. Be fierce for your own sense of right for you. Okay? Take care, my Aquarians. I'll be back next week.